I'm joined by Hart Pomerantz. Welcome to the second annual Canadian International Television Festival. It's a pleasure to have you here and an honor to be meeting you.
Well, I'm honored too. I've never been invited anywhere this fancy.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and the people were terrific.
How did you feel about the screening and looking back and watching?
Well, I'm very optimistic about the past. It's generally speaking, when you look back 45 years, you wonder if this stuff is still funny, and it seems like it's holding up pretty good. So I was impressed.
How do you think comedy has evolved since then till now?
Well, I think the comedy of today is more personal. It's more shocking. It's more sexually oriented.
Yeah.
If you go to clubs and things like that, we couldn't do that in our day because of just the way we were brought up.
Well, and you also had broadcast restrictions too.
And we
right?
had broadcast restrictions, but we still wouldn't have done it just because it wasn't in the psyche of the people to do it. You were trained a certain way as a kid, and you did that. Since the 60s and 70s, things have changed a lot, and I don't think it's any funnier, but new territory to explore.
Right.
But it's going to get boring after a while. If you're laughing at dirty jokes, you're not over it yet.
No. How do you think, this might kind of conflict with what I just asked you, but how do you think audiences have changed over the times?
I don't think audiences change at all. What's funny is audiences react viscerally, you know. Mm-hmm. They don't look at it whether it's contemporary humor, because humor bypasses your brain, it goes right into your gut.
Right.
So if something's funny, you just blurt it out, you just respond. And I think if they watch the old Charlie Chaplin movies or the Marx Brothers movies, they'd still laugh. The comedy today is just a different style, like the music is,
right,
like the clothing is. But in essence, comedy is always the same, and it's about the same things. It's just how you express it changes.
Very true. What was it like working on the Hart and Lorne Terrific Hour?
It was hard work, but we only did 4 shows a year, hour specials.
Right.
And I enjoyed it very, very much because we had complete freedom to write whatever we wanted. I never showed the shows to the CBC beforehand.
Right.
Because they would...
So it was just a surprise when they saw it?
Well, I kept telling them it isn't ready yet. Now, do you want it done on time, or do you want to look at it?
Right.
And so we wanted to surprise them, and they were very upset.
Oh.
But we were canceled several times because of high ratings.
Right.
That can happen.
Yeah. Do you have a most memorable moment on set, or a story or something that happened that just stuck with you all these years?
Well, I did this character called the Canadian Beaver.
Oh, I've heard about that. I've seen it too.
Yeah, and the Canadian Beaver is the prototypic Canadian personality, sort of a carping animal that's always complaining that he's not recognized and the Americans are pushing him around. And we did a thing called Beaver for President, or for Prime Minister.
Right.
And we did a show which we asked people to send in money. And they sent in thousands of dollars to back this candidate, and we had to send it all back. We didn't know that many people were watching.
Wow.
But in those days, remember, there were 2 million viewers watching our show every time it was on. But with fragmentation due to cable and podcasts, the audiences of 700,000-800,000 is huge. But in those days, 10% of the country was watching.
That's impressive.
It's
it
amazing.
Must make you feel just so proud, and that people were tuning in.
Well, we were back then. I mean, I came off a big show called Laugh-In, and they had maybe 20 million people, but that's the States.
Right.
But pro rata, we did very well. And mostly young kids were watching. It was a counterculture kind of show.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody older watched it. But it still holds up. I'm surprised. That's the surprising part.
And did Laugh-In kind of inspire you and Lorne Michaels to do the Hart and Lorne show?
I think the Laugh-In and the Smothers Brothers show, they were more hip and more contemporary, and they mixed music. Well, the Smothers Brothers mixed rock and roll with comedy, and we did the same thing. But our Laugh-In influence was faster sketches, nothing longer than a minute or two.
Right.
Just keep them coming. So.
And how do you think the Hart and Lorne Terrific Hour has influenced sketch comedy?
Well, I've read some articles that it was seminal in the creation of Saturday Night Live. And I think if you look at the first 2 years of Saturday Night Live, you'll see a great similarity to the Hart and Lorne show until it morphed into its present form,
Right.
which is more political and more wacky. But I was involved also with Second City for a while. I was the lawyer for Eugene Levy and Andrea Martin and all of them, so I did all their contracts. And so I've had my hand in both Second City and Saturday Night Live and the law.
And law,
Yeah, I've been busy.
Well, you read my mind, because my next question was going to be, you are a lawyer,
Yes.
and then I know you studied criminal law, correct?
Well, I studied all law.
But you've also, and being in television influenced you then to get into entertainment law?
Well, Perry Mason was a criminal show, but I went into law because everybody went into law after BA in our day.
Yeah.
Either that or you're a social worker, and I didn't like the salary. So I went into law and followed everybody, all my friends. I didn't think about it. I really wanted to be in show business. But it's a tough, you got to be one in a million to get any breaks. A lot of it is luck. And how do you get lucky? You just have to be...
You have to be in the right place at the right time.
And then
right?
have the talent to deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Do you have any advice for people today who are trying to get into the business?
Well, I only know comedy. I don't know anything else. I would say if you're funny, if your friends think you're funny, and you were funny as a kid,
Yeah.
you probably are funny. But if you're trying to be funny, and you were never funny as a kid, forget about it.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
It's an inborn talent,
Right.
like dancing or singing.
Yeah. It's not something you can just
I don't think you can learn comedy. No.
You're born with it.
No. I mean, I work with Woody Allen and Joan Rivers. They're all funny people, you know, inside.
Right.
And they think funny.
Yes. And they are funny to the viewers too.
Yeah, they are funny and views. Comedy's a very it's a very difficult and very strange business.
Right.
Nobody knows why a person's funny.
Right.
They don't even know what funny is. You can't explain it.
No, you can't. And final question
Yeah.
for you: who has been your favorite person to work with?
Well, I enjoyed working with Woody Allen because he was the biggest star, and he was also a hero of mine
Right.
because he wrote the best jokes. And when I got a joke bought by him, I felt I had reached the pinnacle. And I won't tell you the joke because I sold it to him, and he'll sue me if he hears
We
it.
don't want that at all.
No, we don't. He may come here one day and listen to this. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been an honor. All the best.
Thank you very much. I hope to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more interviews from the 2014 Canadian International Television Festival's Red Carpet.